Carolina, look, for me,
They're
Carolina.
dead for what, 3 years? They're dead for 3 years. This is Tepper understands that they got a multi. We have Luke Combs joining us in like 35 minutes or so. He put out a tweet and was like, "What are we doing? What are we doing? No first for Christian. No, nothing."
I agree with the man. I asked the same thing. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Jeremy Chin was one of their best good young players. Brian Burns was one of their good young players. I mean, this trade here, what they paid, is there anybody in that building saying to this owner, we can't do this? Like, we're going to look stupid? Like, at some point, like, this is like just continues to mount. And where's the plan? Like, give me the idea of what the plan. Okay, we signed 2 guards. All right. Okay, great. That's great. We signed 2 guards. But what is the overall philosophical plan for the team? Where are we going? What are we trying to build here?
Coming into this year's offseason, we knew right away the Panthers were going to have to make a ton of changes to this roster. I mean, they even got rid of Jeremy Chin, Brian Burns, and there was a ton of hate coming after those, releases and the trading of Brian Burns. There was nothing but hate for this team. But Dave Canales and the new front office have done a really good job bringing in talent. I think this offseason is one of the most underrated in the entirety of the NFL. Now, when we look back at last season, there's not one area or one, spot I was like, yeah, this team is pretty good. They just need to fix this one hole. No, every single spot along this team needed to be fixed. However, there was one really, really big, important, role they needed to upgrade: the trenches. When you look at their numbers, they rank number 30 in rushing touchdowns per game. Could not complete the job in the red zone. Never mind, they couldn't even get to the red zone most of the time, right? They also rank number 30 in QB sack percentage. You got to give your quarterback time to throw the ball. And if you don't, you're going to lose almost every single game. They also rank number 32 in rushing touchdowns allowed per game and number 31 in sack percentage. This team couldn't protect their quarterback and couldn't get to the opposing quarterback. This team couldn't score in the red zone, but neither could they stop anyone from scoring in the red zone as well. Now, when we go and look at some of the additions this team has made, including Deontay Johnson, Damian Lewis, Robert Hunt, right, and then defensively up front as well, they have gotten 10 times better in the areas they needed to improve. In this video, we're going to break down some of these big signings up front in the trenches, and I'm going to tell you exactly why this team is going to be massively improved from last season. Now, I think we need to start off this video by talking about the most recent acquisition. Now, before we get into Jadeveon Clowney and some of the other additions, make sure you guys do me a favor and give me a letter grade down below on the Panthers offseason so far. What do you grade it? But also subscribe to the channel if you're new. It is free. It doesn't cost anything to join the family, so make sure you guys do that really quickly. But let's talk about Jadeveon Clowney. Now, the one thing we know about Jadeveon Clowney is he is a very solid edge rusher. However, is not going to replace what Brian Burns gave you, will not be an every down type of player. However, is very solid when it comes to getting to the quarterback, especially if he's in a depth type of role where you can start a couple of plays, get to the bench for a play, rest up, get back in. He's one of those players, right? But it is a very, very, very nice compliment to another guy they added in Wonnum, and could be a very good mentor for a guy like Chaisson, I believe his name is, and DJ Johnson. Now, listen, Clowney is an ideal piece for the defensive coordinator, Everose. I don't know how to say his last name. Please comment down below. But he's a perfect fit in the 3-4 scheme, and I guarantee you he will be playing a lot of time here in Carolina. And I really like this addition, a 2-year, $20 million deal for a guy coming off a 9.5 season or 9.5 sack season, and over his tenure, over his career as a former #1 overall draft pick. The man has over 360 tackles, 52.5 sacks, 15 forced fumbles, and an interception as well to go along with 76 stuffs at the same time. So, listen, the one thing we know is Jadeveon Clowney is going to come in here and be an immediate threat, but also is such a good fit alongside another piece here in DJ Wonnum. All right, guys, real quickly before we get into the offensive side of the football and finish off the defensive side as well, do me a big favor, hit that like button. If we get this video up to 400 likes, we'll be posting non-stop Panthers content for the rest of the offseason, which includes, more free agency, the draft, mini camp, training camp, everything you need to know about the Panthers going forward. But also subscribe if you're new. It is free. It doesn't cost anything to join the family. And with that being said, let's jump right back into the video. Now, DJ Wonnum is a very interesting player, only 26 years old, and has been really effective in terms of getting to the quarterback consistently over his 4-year career in Minnesota. Now, over that 4-year span, 171 tackles, 105 solo, 23 sacks, 3 forced fumbles to go along with 13.5 run stuffs as well. When you look at the D-line last year, remember, they could not get to the quarterback. 31 in sack percentage, which also, allowed teams not to force bad throws and force turnovers. So number one thing we look at is adding Clowney and adding DJ Wonnum is going to help them force turnovers, right? There's 5 things that can happen when you can get pressure on the quarterback, right? You can force a fumble, you can get a sack, you can get a bad throw, a bad decision, or an interception. So boom, right away, this team is better from the standpoint of getting to the quarterback. Yes, I understand losing Brian Burns hurts a lot, but they also added 2 guys who, are, or especially Jadeveon Clowney, kind of that bridge player, kind of going to try to develop a guy like, Chaisson and DJ Johnson here. But if he accomplishes that, this team could be scary in a few years. Now, something very interesting about this Panthers team, guys, is they actually ranked number 12 in yards allowed per rush. So on the outside looking in, they were one of the best run defenses in the NFL. The bad thing about it was they couldn't get off the field defensively because their offense couldn't stay on the field, right? So they were allowing teams to just run the football down by 20 at halftime. Teams just run, and eventually your defense starts to tire out, right? However, they've done such a good job adding more defensive linemen here this offseason, making sure they are going to be ready to stop the run again next season. Not only do you have a guy like Derek Brown, but they also went out and signed a guy in Ashawn Robinson who is going to be massive. Now, last season, the Carolina Panthers, like I said, were a pretty good run defense in terms of stopping the run per carry. However, Ashawn Robinson is a different breed, right? Pairing him up with Derek Brown is going to be insane. Last season, Ashawn Robinson was known as probably the best free agent on the market, ended up signing a 1-year deal with the Giants, and now is over here with the Carolina Panthers. Last season, this is the number to look at, 12.5 run stuffs last year to pair up with Derek Brown and Shai Tuttle. I mean, this front 3 in the 3-4 defense is going to be absolutely terrifying, and then you have 2 good edge rushers. Man, what a good front 7, and like I said, you need to be good up in the trenches. I think they did exactly that to not only, stop their run a little bit more, right? Maybe get better in terms of rushing touchdowns allowed per game. I think this number will go way, way, way down. I think this number will be going down as well. And definitely this number, right? That number 12 in yards allowed per rush, I think those go down, right? We already talked about the sack percentage and maybe even the interception percentage going down from adding a guy like Jadeveon and DJ Wonnum. But then they really need to get better up front offensively in the trenches. And again, that is exactly what they did. And again, the number one thing to notice about this Panthers team is if you can't protect your quarterback, especially your young star quarterback who needs to develop, you're not going to win too many games. And remember we said they ranked number 30 in completion percentage, number 32 in yards per pass, number 32 in pass yards per game, number 30 in QB sack percentage, but also ranking number 5 in interception percentage. Bryce Young didn't have the greatest start to his NFL career, but the man could never be in the pocket for more than a second to throw the football, right? Which, forced them to be one of the worst passing offenses in the NFL last season. But at the same time, they also ranked number 23 in yards per rush, right? They could not run or pass the football to save their lives. Now, when we look at the list of acquisitions or additions they've made this offseason, there's 2 that really stand out to me offensively, and is these 2 guys right here, Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt. These 2 guys are going to be difference makers in this offensive line who currently or last year did not do anything to help their young developing quarterback, Bryce Young. Now, Robert Hunt is going to be massive for this team. I mean, last season, Young was sacked 62 times, which was second most in the NFL last season, behind Sam Howell, who I believe is now in Seattle. But he will now have better interior protection for the foreseeable future. Hunt is 6'6", 330 pounds, and has won 90% of his pass blocks during his career, and has only allowed 12 sacks and over 3,300 career snaps. It seems like Dave Canales is absolutely, willing and wants to do whatever it takes to protect his quarterback, and Robert Hunt will do that right away. And then you have a guy in Damian Lewis who will, be right alongside Robert Hunt as one of the, biggest paid linemen in this year's offseason. But he is going to need to come in here and perform as well. Lewis was a third-round pick back in 2020, allowed 3 sacks on over 900 snaps this past season, and has a 97.2 pass blocking efficiency rating. So right away, you talk about two guys who are really, really good in terms of stopping the pass. Guys, this is going to be absolutely massive for Bryce Young, just giving him some more time to, find wide receivers, develop the plays, but not only that, maybe even get the run game going as well. Guys, when you talk about what the Panthers have done this offseason, they've gotten so much better. I mean, right away we look at some of these additions, and we're not even going to talk about the Deontay Johnson or even the Josey Jewells or the Jordan Fullers, Dane Jackson, Nick Scotts, right? They've added so many other players. If you guys want another part 2 of this type of breakdown, let me know in the comment section down below by just saying part 2, right? But man, they have gone so much better. I even think Josh Neiman is a guy who can come in and just add depth to this team overall. But man, I think they've done a great job this offseason. I think they're going to be so much, more improved. And then when you talk about the trenches are so much better. Like, we don't even need to really talk about it anymore. They were almost dead last in rushing touchdowns per game, could never finish. Almost dead last in allowing sacks. Almost dead last in getting to the quarterback and forcing turnovers. And they could not stop the running backs at all in terms of the red zone. So obviously they needed to improve in the trenches, and that is the most important thing in football: getting to the quarterback and protecting your quarterback. They've done exactly that so far this offseason, and I think at the end of the day, if they can, start to really get, Bryce Young some protection in that pocket, really give him some time to throw the ball, you suddenly now have a couple of good wide receivers here in Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson, really good route runners alongside Jonathan Mingo and Terrace Marshall. I guarantee you they probably add someone else, whether it be free agency or the draft as well. This team is on the right pace. They're on the right, road to success. They just got to keep bringing in these guys, these dogs, these guys that want to win football games and, quite frankly, care about winning more than money. And sometimes that's what you got to do, and I think they're off to a good start so far. Let me know what you guys think they need to do next. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And like I said, part 2 will come out if we get enough likes and enough comments saying part 2. See you in the next video. Peace.